All the content for this class appears in Jupyter Notebooks, with rare exceptions for certain graphics and user-defined modules. All the notebooks, all the material for the class are housed on GitHub, and I'll provide links on Canvas when you're taking the class with me. But rather than downloading the files from GitHub and then uploading them files to Colab, I recommend that you access these files directly through Google Colab, as was shown in the Getting Started video for this course that was provided on Canvas, as well as the prior video in this notebook. If you haven't seen those yet, I'm going to link to those in the description of this video on YouTube. So once you have a notebook saved, again, I highly recommend that you have your Google Drive organized in folders to match the structure of what is the repo associated with the notebooks you're using for a course. I think it just helps make sure everything runs as intended and it keeps everything very well organized. And that has, again, been discussed in a prior video. So what you probably want to know is, how are these notebooks used to compute your grade? Well, 20% of your grade depends on your interaction with these notebooks in terms of the embedded activity credit. What is this embedded activity credit? Well, each lecture notebook includes activities that are useful for checking your understanding and also exploring ideas you may have. These are, sorry, just need to scroll, referred to as embedded activities. The activity score for this lecture notebook is simply computed as the percentage of completed activities that are embedded within it. An activity is deemed complete if each portion of the activity is completed, and that means all instructions are followed, any code you are asked to write runs to completion, and any requested markdown cells, in other words text cells, containing an analysis or interpretation or explanation of results is also present. Most lecture notebooks will have an additional activity solutions video that is going to have me showing how to solve kind of all the coding portions of the embedded activities. I will often not have those in these embedded videos. They're going to be separate and linked to on Canvas, but you could also find them on the YouTube playlist. I'm doing that because you should really try to complete all the activities on your own. These solution videos are intended to be used for you to check your work or help nudge you forward if you are stuck. You shouldn't just go to them directly, because that kind of defeats the purpose of trying these things on your own, which is really how you're going to learn materials, by struggling through it a little bit. But any interpretations, analysis, code comments, etc. that you are asked to complete in the activities will not be covered in these videos, although I may provide some verbal commentary or hints about those parts. Starting in the second module for the course, lecture notebooks will also contain a summary activity. The summary activities will not be covered in any solution videos, as they are intended to have you complete a summary of what you learned. Summaries require combining markdown and code cells where you write unique work that is not simply copy and pasted from the material I provided. From Module 2 onward, the embedded activity score for each notebook weighs the summary activity as 50% of the score, with any other activities contributing equally to the other 50% of the score. Your embedded activity credit for the course is computed as the unweighted average of all lecture notebook activity scores. So below is your first activity. Activities are a type of section in a notebook, which are easily found by viewing the table of contents. So again, to find the table of contents, you go over to this left pane and go to the top, and you click on this icon to open up the table of contents. From there, you can either go to notebook contents and directly link to any of the activities, or you can just find where those activities are appearing in the table of contents and clicking on them, and it will also take you to that location. So that is how you can easily find your activities and make sure that you have them all completed before you turn in the notebook. While I will often create separate videos showing solutions to embedded activities, in this first notebook, I do show solutions to activities within the lecture videos just to help you get started. So let's look at this first activity labeled Activity 1, creating markdown and code cells. The first thing you are asked to do is create a markdown cell directly below this cell. And that means before the next markdown cell, which is right here, and put in some text in a list format with bullet points and some italicized, boldface, and strike-through fonts. I then am asking you to create a code cell directly below that new markdown cell you created and before the next markdown cell after that, containing the text indicating that this is where activity 1 ends. So again, this is where you should have none of your cells after this one. They should be after this, but before this. And that cell should compute 7 times 5. And then you should just execute that cell just to check that it works. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on text, which adds a text cell, which is a markdown cell. Remember, these are used interchangeably. And then to create a bullet point list, you just use these dashes or hyphens, whatever you want to call them. And you could have something like a grocery list if you like. So you could write something like, below is my shopping list. And then you could have something like, cereal, and then you could have bread and maybe some fruit. I hear strawberries are in season, at least at the time of me writing this. And so you can see on the right that this is appearing correctly the way I'm typing it, but I'm also asked to do some italicized, bold-faced, and strike-through fonts. So let's go ahead and make this italicized. Let's go ahead and make this bold. And then we can make this even go above and beyond, make it bold and italicized. You can again see on the right how it's appearing. And then you can add some strike-through fonts as well. And that's, again, you just use a tilde on either side. Sometimes I like to do 2, but it doesn't matter. Just 1 suffices. And so doing something like this would be fine. Now, I hope you make your own list. You're not just copying what I'm providing on the video. I'm just showing you generally how you do it. It's not asking you to do much. Now I'll go ahead and press Shift Enter just to get out of that cell, and I move on to the next one. Now here, I can come up here, I can go to code, I can put my cursor in the middle and select the code button, or I can go to this and cell, and if it's selected but not in edit mode, I can press B, the B key, to put a code cell below this one. Or if I'm at this markdown cell, I can press the A key as I just did, and that will put a code cell in there. And then all I need to do right here is do 7 times 5 and execute it, and I see that that runs. That's the end of this activity. While the embedded activities make up 20% of your course grade, the external activities make up 30% of your course grade. Combined, these activities are 50% of your course grade. Now, the external activities are just for material in module 01 through 04 of this course. Each lecture notebook in these modules will have an accompanying notebook containing additional activities, and these are the ones that are referred to as external activities. These notebooks are usually due 2 days in a 16-week format after the lecture notebook embedded activities are due. These should generally take less than 1 hour to finish. No solution videos will be provided for these, as these are intended to give you more direct practice doing very similar activities as those that are embedded within the lecture notebook where I provide solution videos. Your external activity credit for the course is computed simply as the unweighted average of all external activity notebook scores. Assignments count for 50% of your grade. Assignment notebooks, which constitute the homework for this course, are intended to build upon lecture content to help you expand your expertise and mastery of the material. Unlike activities, either embedded or external, that focus more on direct implementation of the lecture content, you are asked to be a critical, creative, and independent thinker more often on the assignments. There are a total of 5 assignment notebooks for this course. This first module, which is just about the basics of Jupyter and getting you started in this environment, have no assignment notebooks. Module 2 has 2 assignment notebooks, and modules 3, 4, and 5 each have 1 assignment notebook. There is no assignment notebook for Module 6. Each assignment will contribute equally to your total assignment grade for the course.